Hey guys, and welcome to the second part of my how to make a Bioshock logo in Blender tutorial. So I'm literally picking off right from where we left off in the last tutorial because I only finished recording that about like a minute ago. So if you guys are watching this and you're not up to the part where I am, go back and click on the link right now to take you back to the first tutorial. But for those of you that are all up to speed with me, in this tutorial, as you can probably tell from the title, we will be texturing and materializing our logo here. So let's get right into it. So to start off, if we select a little like shield thingy, I don't know, I'm just gonna rename this. I'm just gonna call this the Bioshock shield, just so I can have a reference of what I'm talking about. So we're gonna grab the Bioshock shield and we wanna press the backslash. And that's on my keyboard. It should be the same. It's on the right hand side above the enter and below the backspace. So if you press that one, you're in good business. Cool. Alright, so let's get into texturing and materializing this. So here we go. So we're going to face select, and we're going to select the one on the very far left hand side, hold down Control, and then select the one on the far right hand side. We're going to add a new material, and it's going to be an image texture, like so. We're going to go open, and once again, we're going to go to our Blender assets folder. If you guys haven't downloaded it from the previous tutorial, or you've deleted it or something, don't worry, because there's still a link in the description for this one where you can download it. Find wherever you've saved it, and what we want to do, we want to get the shock clean texture. So we'll load that in. We're going to go 5.7, and we're going to press U, and we're going to go project from view, like this. And then we'll change this to a compositing view, and you have to press the backslash again when we go into a compositing view, and then we'll load in this shock clean. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to scale this up, and the two different ways you can scale, three different ways, is you can either just press S to scale up, or you can scale on the X-axis like I am doing right now, or you can scale on the Y-axis like this. And I believe, yep, that doesn't look too bad. Look at that. Looks quite nice, doesn't it? Awesome. Okay, so at the moment we are missing a texture or a material on the outer rim of this, on the wall essentially. So quick fix, if we just go Control I, we'll just go into the materials here, we'll just press new, and we'll change, no, we won't change that, we'll just go into the material node editor here. We're going to search for a mix shader, and we'll search for a glossy shader. Now, I'm not sure whether or not by teaching you guys to just search for things is a bad habit, but that's what I do. I prefer to just not have to go through the different menus and sub-menus to find things. That's my thing. I mean, if you guys know where to find them and everything like that, by all means do that. It's just my personal preference to search for things. I find it so much quicker. So yeah, I'm not sure whether that's a bad habit to teach people or not, but yeah. I don't think it's horrible if you do it, because I mean I've been using this for about 4 years. Yeah, it's 2017. 4 years now, and I don't seem to have many issues. I mean, I'm proficient at using this. I'm not great, but anyway, enough about me blubbering on. Okay, so what we want to do is we'll change this from a GX, that's what it says, to a Beckham. What is it? Beckman. I always call it Beckham. Whatever. I'll continue to call it Beckham, because why not? So we'll change the roughness to a 0.1 and the mix shader factorial to a 0.75. And then what we want to do is we want to assign this material 02 to the outside. And you know what? We might actually just double click on material 02 and we'll just call it glossy metal, just so we know what we're talking about. And we'll change this to copper, because it is copper. And speaking of the copper texture, we'll go back and select it, and we're going to make a couple of adjustments here. I'm losing my voice or something. Okay, so we'll go Shift A, we'll get a glossy shader in again, Shift A, and we'll get another mix shader, put that in there, and roughly the same settings, although I don't want that one on Beckman, or Beckham as I like to call it, as I explained earlier. Cool. Alright, so we just want to change this image texture so the color is controlling both the diffuse and the gloss. And if we go into a top-down view, and also, sorry, I didn't explain this, I don't think, but you should have seen it on my screen keys. Anyway, if you press Shift Z, that will take you from a solid view straight to a rendered view, which is what I'm doing over here, just so I can see the texture. And that is looking quite nice at the moment. Cool. Alright, so what we want to do, if you guys haven't noticed, but on the actual Bioshock logo, there are like little lines or streaks on the copper part of it. Now, I could go through and say, alright guys, now we're going to do this really annoying part where we're going to, by the way, don't copy what I'm about to do. We're about to do this really annoying thing where we're going to have to get a, you're going to have to go K so we can get the knife cut, and we're going to start cutting geometry into this. No, I wouldn't do that because that would be really annoying to do. So when I was making around in Photoshop the other day, I decided to generate my own normal maps. Sorry, I didn't even explain what a normal map was. I've just jumped straight to conclusions there. But okay, I'll just continue on like that. So I created my own normal maps. And what a normal map does is it defines depth and height in textures. So I'll show you what that looks like. So if we just go Shift D, drag that image texture down, unlink the database, we'll open up a new one, we'll go to wherever the hell you've saved your assets folder, and we want to get this nice purple looking NRM PNG. Open that up, and the way we want to activate the normal, well, use the normal, sorry, not activate it, is just search for normal, and then we just want to get a normal map. We'll plug the color into the color and change it to UV map there, and plug the normal into both the diffuse and the glossy. So if we go Shift Z right now, you notice it's gotten a lot darker, but we've got those streaks in there. Now, if we want to modify that darkness, what we have to do is change the strength of the UV map. Now, I prefer it at like a 0.2 or 0.3, somewhere around there looks nice. Now, you'll see a bit of an issue right now is that I've changed it down to a 0.2 or 0.3, and well, where the hell's the normal map? I can't see depth in there anymore. So I'll do, we'll put a placeholder in here at the moment. So we'll just go Shift Z, add a tab, so Shift A, and what we're going to do is get a lamp, and we're just going to put a placeholder of a of some light. So yeah, we'll get some more lighting going on in here. I'll just move it around a bit, just so we can see that texture and the normal map at work there. Cool, so that already looks much nicer. So you can just put lights wherever the hell you want for the time being, just so we can see that texture, as we won't be doing the lighting setups or anything like that in this tutorial. That will be in the last one. Okay, cool. So this is definitely starting to look nice. But we've got an issue at the moment. We don't have any way to change that nice glossy clean copper to a eroded oxided sort of copper. So I'll show you guys how to fix this. If we go up into the node editor here, we'll just Shift D to duplicate that. We'll remove the texture, we'll open once again project assets folder, and what we want is we want to use the shock grunge PNG. So we'll just open that up. Now, we'll just unplug the image texture here, and we're going to have a nice white glossy sort of look there. But now, wouldn't it be nice if we could essentially like mix these two textures together? But not just mix them together, but be able to control the amount of each texture that we want to be displaying on the Bioshock shield at any one time. Well, luckily for us, there is such thing, and I love these things so much. The mix RGB. So we'll just search for a mix RGB. Cool. And now, sorry for those of you that know Blender quite proficiently, but I want to try and aim these first couple of tutorials I do more at beginners that really haven't touched Blender, just so I can teach them some cool things, just get their heads around everything, because I certainly would have loved more in-depth tutorials like this where I could have just learnt about things a little bit more when I first started. Anyway, so what we're going to do, we just want to plug the colors into here, and now change this factorial all the way up to 1. Okay, just do that for me. Just B to box select. I'm just going to move these back a bit. Cool. Alright, so we'll get the color output and we'll drag it into the diffuse, and we'll drag that into the gloss. Okay, so you'll see at the moment there's no change at all. We still have that nice looking clean texture. Now I want you guys to do something for me, and if you, like I said, if you guys are proficient at Blender, you'll more than likely know what this does, but if you've just started using Blender, this is about to blow your mind. So change this factorial of the mix right here. Let's change that all the way down to 0. Now look at that. Look at that. We've got this nice looking grunge and oxide copper all over the texture now. So doesn't that look nice? And muck around with this factorial. Change it to something like a 0.4. Look at that. We've only got a bit of grunge on there now. So yeah. And that comes in handy in the third tutorial where we start to animate everything with different lighting effects. So isn't that cool? We can now change the value of how much grunge we actually want on there, which is definitely cool. Awesome. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want, if you've watched it, if you've watched the actual Bioshock logo animation in depth, you'll notice that there's grunge and rust that starts to appear on the actual word Bioshock and on the city, and also on the little wall around the Bioshock logo, or shield, sorry. So we'll just press the backslash again so we can get into a different view, so we can see everything. And yeah, look at that, it's looking nice, isn't it, right now? I think my city is actually levitating a little bit. We'll just drag it down a bit. I mean, we're not in Bioshock Infinite yet. Ooh, okay then. This is... I've never had this issue before. Maybe we'll just drag it up a little bit. Oops, I don't know what that was doing. Sorry, hold up. Having some technical difficulties here. I can still see something that's really bugging me. Ah, well, nobody else is going to notice that. If you're having that issue, I haven't had that issue previously with putting that city in there. But I might, yeah, I'll change the city a little bit for you guys for the actual object so it doesn't give anybody any issues like that. Alright, so now what we're going to do, I'm sorry about that hiccup there, we want to go and add that glossy metal to the rest of everything. So we'll get the Bioshock, we want to get the outline of Bioshock, and we want to get the city. Cool, look at that. Alright, so what we want to do, because we're going to run into an issue right now, if we wanted to add, because the city gets rust on it, and Bioshock sort of gets like these cloud marks on it where there's no gloss anymore. And I'll show you how to do all that in good time. But at the moment, if I wanted to put the rust just onto the city, it's going to also apply it to the Bioshock. So what we're going to do, we're just going to come up to the glossy metal over here in the materials tab. I'm just going to click on that little 4. And what that's doing is it's now created a separate material. What it was doing originally is it was just using that same glossy metal and was applying it to all of those different objects that we'd selected. So we'll just go through and actually we won't do it for the Bioshock. Okay, we'll leave the Bioshock ones the same, but we'll go to the shield and we'll just click 3 on that. So we'll have these two sharing the same values, and that comes in handy a bit later. Okay, but for the time being, what we want is we want to focus on the city right now. Okay, so if we go Shift A and we just search for image, we'll get an image texture going in here. All right. So what we want to do is open, once again, your project assets file. God, I really need to just like record myself saying that so I don't have to say it a million times. And then what we want to do is we want to get the rust PNG. Okay, so we'll just go Shift Z, we'll go to a top-down view here. Yeah, look at that, that's already looking much nicer with the gloss on everything. Alright, cool. So we'll plug the image texture into the diffuse, and we've got like no rust. I mean, I can see a bit, but yeah, that's not looking too nice, is it? Alright, so we'll go tab into edit mode, we'll go unwrap, and we'll go not view from bounds, we'll go just unwrap from view, and we'll change this to the rust PNG, like so. So we'll just press A, select it, and we'll just scale this up, and just change its positioning to somewhere around there, I think. Okay, like, sorry, I'm not explaining myself very well. Just scale it up so it's like roughly meeting the edges almost, or just before it meets the edges of the actual texturing box. And then what we want to do here is we kind of want to hide this line of rust that is almost like eroding downwards. So we'll just go GY and we'll just do it so you can't see it anymore. Somewhere around there will look good. Awesome. And okay then. Alright, cool. So we can kind of see it there a bit, but it's very faded and very hard to see. And how are we going to fix this? So since this is a PNG, it does have an alpha, and the alpha is all over here where there is no rust marks. So if we go to the image texture where it's got alpha here and drag it into the factorial, it's almost done its job, but you'll notice we've got some like really weird blotchy black spots which aren't in the texture. So what we'll do, simple fix, we'll just flip these two around like that. Now look at it, you've got all this nice like grunge and rust all over your little city down the bottom here. And I mean, you can have the rust and grunge go wherever you want, really. That's just my preferred sort of way of lining everything up to have it all look, and it does look a little bit cheesy and off and everything like that, but you know, I like it. And also, if you really wanted to, you could select it and go like a smart UV unwrap if you really wanted to, and that will get you like a little bit more of a randomized sort of look to everything, if you really wanted to. But I sort of designed that texture around just doing like an unwrap from view, and I don't mind the looks of that at all. So yeah, but we've got another issue. So at the moment, if we went to our shock shield, Bioshock shield, sorry, we can change the value of how much grunge and everything we want. But at the moment with the city, we can't do that. So we need to still add something in. So if we go Shift A, search, and we'll search for math, okay? And we'll plug that in just between the alpha and the factorial of the mix shader. So we'll plug that in there, and we want to change this to a subtract value. Now, if we crank that all the way up to 1, you'll notice, look at that. There is no more rust on there. It's nice and clean now. If we change that value to 0, we've now got rust. So we can now control the amount of rust we want on the city, which is very cool. Sorry about that. So yeah, now we've got all that. We've got all that going. So we're going to do a very sort of similar thing for the actual like Bioshock text. So what I'm going to do, we're going to get an image texture, and we're going to go to our project asset, and what we want for this one is we want the worn metal PNG. And once again, I've made all of these textures using a bunch of different images, mashing them all together and stuff. So hopefully there's no issues with me using textures that I got off the internet and stuff like that, because I tried to modify them beyond 10% or whatever the hell you have to do. All right, cool. So what we'll do is we'll plug the color into there and the alpha into there. So if we check that now, it's, yeah, we don't have anything on the actual Bioshock, which is a bit weird, isn't it? I mean, we've got it all selected and everything like that, and yeah. So the issue we've got is because there's no UV map. there's no UV map, so there's no coordinates telling Blender where to put this texture on top of the Bioshock logo. So what we want to do, we go Alt-C, and we just want to go convert mesh curve to, the bottom one here. Sorry, convert text to mesh is what I was supposed to be saying. Sorry, I was reading the top one. And then what we want to do, we want to do that for the actual Bioshock, like the main text and the outline of it. Then what we want to do this for both of them. We'll select the outline, we'll go W, and we just want to go remove doubles. I've just got my recorder in the way. Yep, so I think that removed like 4,000 vertices or something like that. And we'll do the same for the actual Bioshock text. So we'll just go W, and we'll just go remove doubles. Yeah, there you go. That removed 2,288 vertices. Wow. Okay, cool. So that cleans all that up for us. And yeah, now we can go back to unwrapping. All right, so I just want to make sure I've got the main one. Cool. All right, so what we'll do, we'll go tab to get into edit mode. We're gonna go unwrap, and this one we want to do a smart UV project. Okay, and just say okay for that. And we want to change the texture to a worn metal PNG. And at this point, it's literally personal preference of the whereabouts of where you want to place the texture. So you know, just if you want to do modify, you want to like primarily go G and then X and drag it along, and just get it to somewhere where you're comfortable with. I think I like it around there. Just going to check that, and sorry, I forgot to explain. We need to flip the glossy and the diffuse once again. So it's looking like that. Otherwise, we're not getting the correct sort of specularity going on there. I think, yeah, I like somewhere around that. It's a bit hard to judge without the proper lighting in place at the moment, but we'll fix all that in good time. And if you couldn't already guess, the way that we're going to control the amount of, I guess, non-glossy parts of it, we're going to get a math node. Going to put it between the alpha and the factorial, change this to a subtract, and put that to a value of 1. We've got no gloss, value of 0. Value of 1, we've got complete gloss. A value of 0, we've got some parts with no gloss. So that's looking very nice there. Now, we're still missing one part, and don't worry, I didn't forget about this. Not at all. We haven't modified anything on the actual glossy metal here. So what we'll do, we'll pretty much just follow the exact same process we already have. We'll just get an image texture going in here. We'll just, oops, we don't need to open this one because we want the exact same texture we used. We just want the worn metal. We'll plug the color into there. We'll flip these two around. We'll put the alpha into the factorial. We'll get a math node going between these two. Whoops, put it between the wrong ones. We're going there, and we want to change that to a subtract. And we'll put that to a value of 0. But I've got one thing, we need to unwrap it. So what we'll do is we'll just go to the glossy metal, select, just go face select, makes it a bit easier, and we'll go unwrap from, oh, should I do, oops, no, not a light path, light map, sorry. I just want to see smart UV. Yeah, I think I got smart UV from memory. That's what I did last time, and I'll just crank that up to a value of 1. Oh no, I forgot now. Is it 0 that I have gloss and stuff? Yeah, okay, there we go. Now I can see it. No, actually, sorry. I'm going to do a project from view. It's actually makes all the grunge and everything that gets put on there. It looks a lot nicer. So once again, personal preference. You can put that wherever you really want, just so long as you're getting some nice little bit of grunge and everything on there. Change that to a value of 1, and very good. So hopefully you guys don't have any issues with that, and you have a nice, whoops, you have a nice looking Bioshock logo like I do right here, all textured, all materialized, and you can now change all the values so it's all either grungy or all nice and clean. And sorry, one thing, just before we finish this tutorial, I just want to come over to the side panel here, and we're just going to change this world property straight down to black, like that. It might look a bit weird at the moment, because, oh my goodness, because we don't have the correct lighting set up. But we'll fix that all in the next tutorial where we do lighting and animating. Hope you guys have enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more Blender tutorials. I'll see you guys in the next one.